Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions. This is a man, by the way, that when he gets mad, you don't want to be in the same zip code. Okay? So when he says, where we're going to get sideways, you'd better listen. Okay? I mean, I survived my childhood. There are a lot of people, including my dad and my mom, that are shocked that I survived my childhood. They're shocked they survived my childhood. Okay? With me? But here's the thing. The genius of you is you've learned from all this. Like, you've never once, I don't think, hesitated to go. Like, you just go, right? Somebody points you in a direction, you're out there, right? And the thing that's brilliant about you is you're out there and you're learning. You're out there every day. And yeah, you're going to stub your toe. Yeah, you're going to skin your nose, but you're also going to learn. And what you're doing now is sort of a culmination of all that. And literally what you're doing, I think, is you're literally developing a system so other people don't skin their knees, so other people don't skin their nose, right? They don't fall flat on their face. And so that's what I think is so brilliant about your story is you've really been there and done that. And what you've taken from that or gleaned from it is this is what you should and should not do. I mean, I have had the advantage, obviously, of sitting with you and looking at Flip IQ with you. And one of the things that I noticed is there's a running theme with you, and it's that you have figured out the system. Like, you have figured out a way where people can avoid a lot of the same risk that you got into, right? Because there was no system like this before. There was no solution like this. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're developing this plug and play that I think is just incredibly cool. And I just wanted to acknowledge you for it because, dude, you're one of the coolest people on the planet. And your heart is pure. You know what I mean? Like, your heart's in the right place. And I just think it's remarkable. So I think you're remarkable. Okay. Sorry. I'm going to get off my soapbox now, but let's go back. So you're flipping houses and they're REOs, right? And you ended up doing really, really well flipping. I mean, you flipped for a lot of years, right?
Yeah, 30 years. So my first house I bought at 18.
Yeah.
And I wasn't buying that many, maybe 2 a month. But if you can think of from, being young and the math on a flip, I mean, obviously the numbers were much smaller there, both the acquisition and back in the, 90s, late 90s to up to the 2000s. The price points weren't as high, but the returns and the cost of living wasn't as much.
Right.
But I did really well. Where I got a lot of my units, or when I came up to the 2000s, the market started tying up a little bit. And back to the shiny penny, one of the things that I figured is, hey, if I can fix them, I can probably build them. So I ended up probably picking the worst place to go build homes. I ended up buying 30 lots from Anchor in Big Bear, at the outskirts of Big Bear. Yeah. So that was interesting. I was able to go through, that was my first development, very painful. I did actually well. The market was appreciating. So we were able to absorb a lot of the mistakes. I made pretty decent money. The problem was the cash flow. Whenever you're in development, your cash flow becomes very separated from acquisition. So it was very painful. And I would go through about a year practically broke, and then I would get a bunch of money, and then I would just throw it back in, right? So I got comfortable. I since I was 18, I haven't had a consistent paycheck. So you kind of learn to live in that mentality. And like I was saying, is, you just, if you need money, you go just work hard and it appears and it's there. But built that, I felt that I had done a subpar job. And to me, the only way I could monetize in that experience, if I walked away, I would have left a lot on the table. So I said, I got to double down, right? What did I learn? How do I do this? And I started actually getting into the development piece, buying options for people. And from 2000 up to 2008, I had about 103 houses going at one time. 3 different developments, one in Montclair, one in Upland here, and one in Colton. And we had gone past our first phase on all of them. This is before the crash. You remember 2006 and 7, people out the line buying homes. And I walk in first week of March in, I think it's 2008. Maybe 7 or 8. And my lender says, hey, all the buyers, the loan program's changed. I'm all we got 100 other buyers to sell it to whatever. He says, man, you don't understand, man, that there's a problem. And we went from selling the properties at about 150 grand more in profit per unit. And you can imagine at 100 homes, and you start doing the math. And, obviously I'm paying a lot of the money back out to my investors, but I was going to make a lot of money. And I had already gone through my first phase. So essentially I was pretty much halfway out the door, starting my second phase on the projects. And man, it was painful. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of times that you have those very specific memories that mark paths and points in your life. And at that time I had been able to take some money. I bought myself a few nice cars at that age I was in my early 30s, so I had all the shiny vehicles you can think of and all that fun stuff. So I got this brand new Excursion that I just had bought, that I purchased to pull my big boat that I bought. Every stupid thing you can think of that age you would buy. The market had crashed. We're chasing down the market. The lender stopped funding the fund control. And I'm sitting there in the corner of Central and Walnut, completely out of gas in this Excursion that I'm having to push, and people are getting out of their cars to help me push into the gas station. And I didn't run out of gas because I wasn't paying attention. So I ran out of gas because I didn't have a dime.
Yeah.
I had to call my mom to go drive from Altaloma to come in and put $100 in my gas tank. And that was humbling. And man, it was painful. And after she left, I broke down and started crying. And it was not out of sadness for my situation, it's just out of frustration. To have worked so hard and have something so close that you perceived it to be so big. And I look back and, it was a little foolish because I over leveraged and everything you can think of.
Everybody did.
But
Everybody did.
Exactly.
Everybody did. That's part of why it crashed.
Exactly.
Right? Because nobody saw it coming. I mean, there were 5 or 6 people that saw it coming. And
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. But I'll tell you, it was humbling. I learned a lot. It was something that put me into the next path of, I play around. I say that was my previous life where I was building. And then moving forward, a lot of doors opened up, and, there's a lot of long, fun stories in there that I'll share down the road. But, I went from small time flipping, a few a month, just a small group, to building. I had a decent sized company, crashed. Then instead of chasing the REOs and trying to go take people's properties because they're losing them, I became good friends with a nonprofit that we were doing infield construction management for them. NPHS, if people that know them, they're NeighborWorks, how to prove counseling company. And I went to him and I told him, I said, man, I'm done. I'm cooked. I don't know what to do. I don't have a dime. What do I do? And he says, there's people losing their home. Go get certified as a how to prove counselor. Go help them.
Mhm.
What does that pay? Nothing. All right. I'll
Not a
help
lot.
them.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So it was something that I felt, hey, you know what? Okay, maybe I can help people. Maybe I get a listing out of it. I don't know. I became a how to prove housing counselor. I also became friends with some people that are doing a lot of the Keep Your Home California programs.
Mhm.
We started actually helping a lot of people. I knew a lot of agents, so I started actually connecting with agents and explaining the programs of how to use nonprofits so they can help their clients. And if they didn't get approved, they can get a listing, and how to actually help their clients instead of just trying to go get a listing. So I spent a few years, and after spending a lot of time and becoming the liaison between the banks and the agents, um, I was spending so much time that the lady, Donna Miller, who's the fourth down from Jamie Dimon and Chase, we became friends because she would see me and she thought I worked for Chase.
Mhm.
And when she realized I didn't, I got kicked out of one of their meetings thinking I was an employee. And after they said, well, Tony shouldn't be here, get kicked out and we have dinner. And she says, hey, I have a program that I want you to help me launch. And it's called the NSP, Neighborhood Civilization Plan. That was Chase's concept of the um, money that was being given to municipalities for them to purchase their properties and all that fun stuff. So we started buying properties through that program, and that's where the majority of my flips, I've done 1,126 flips to date, and about 600 of those happened in about a little bit of a 4-year period where we were buying houses directly from Chase and Bank of America, but it wasn't one or two at a time, it was 20 at a time. And I'll tell you, when somebody like Donna tells you, hey, can you guys do 5 at a time? The answer without thinking is yes.
Mhm.
You do 5 and you barely make 5. And they say, can you do 20? And of course, the answer is sure, give it.
Yeah.
And that was a huge learning experience. Very painful, completely different than what I knew. All my knowledge wasn't being translated to my staff or the field. And man, it was another huge learning curve. I did a lot of properties, their profit margins were razor thin. My mortgage payments were 280 grand a month, just my mortgage, not my um staff. I think it's like 75 grand, man. It was painful. And I'm juggling money and I'm just uh, no systems, no processes, just a bunch of employees that just were getting paid on Friday and leaving, and I didn't have the processes to keep track of them. And at 193 houses, sitting there on a Sunday, I called Lauren. She's my right hand, and I said, "Fire everybody tomorrow. I'm done buying. We're just gonna close everything out, and I'm done. It's just not worth it." And we got rid of the majority of the people, stopped buying, closed everything out. I was able to keep a handful of properties, about 25 properties paid off, which is a nice little amount of transactions. But man, it was painful. And that started my journey into the technology. I read a book called The E-Myth.
Mhm.
And that was my understanding of the ability to realize the differences between an operator, the manager, and everybody else, right? And you
Yeah.
get it from conceptual. But I started really building systems, and that's kind of where I fell down the rabbit hole of the technology that we talked a little bit about.
Right.
But at that time, I went through roughly 600 properties. Towards the end, I just shut it down, got everything closed, and I promised myself that I was never going to put myself in a place where an employee could come in and essentially put a gun to my head, and I had no choice. And that happened to me with my construction manager. I was paying him 150 grand a year for base plus bonuses. And essentially he walked in on a Sunday, and nobody was going to be there but me. And he says, I need 50 grand more a year or I'm walking. And I had no choice but to pay him. And I promised myself I was never going to put myself in that position. So that's how I started building the technology and being able to be proactive versus reactive. And it was a really interesting learning experience. It's very, very painful and costly. I wouldn't recommend anybody learn from that approach, but I'll tell you, very valuable.
School of hard knocks, baby.
Yeah, for sure. And that's definitely, I think I got a double master's on hard knocks.
So what year was that you basically shut everything down? And
we started buying about 2010, and then about 14, that's kind of where the program started fading out, inventory started getting absorbed. There wasn't as many opportunities, and at that time I was burnt out, and I just started kind of getting really into the shiny penny of the tech piece. And my brother had sold a lead gen company and made a ton of money, and obviously, and this is my younger brother, so now I had the bar to go chase after, right? My brother sold for a lot of money at that time, and he was in his early 30s. And I figured, hey, if he did this, then I'm going to try to go do it myself. I like the concept of the tech. And one of the guys who's working for me that had a tech background, he says, Tony, we're going to download your brain into a technology platform. And I kind of bought into that concept. And from 2012, where we started playing around with some tech, 2014, we really started actually building stuff that could be used by others. And then that's when the evolution of the tech really became my priority since 2014 to recently. It's been most of my time and effort has been the tech. Gotcha. All, of course, around the flipping processes, and like you were saying, the what to do's and what not to do's are all in a system, which has been interesting and painful.
So let me ask you this. What's the single most important thing you've learned in the last 10 years, 12 years of developing this?
From a tech or from a business flipping?
Take both. Let's take both.
So technology is something, there's a gentleman by the name of Sean O'Toole. He owns Property Radar, and he's been very cool with me since he took me in a few times. And he basically says, Tony, stick to flipping. Tech is complicated. If you've never done it, which you haven't, your learning curve, you already paid the dues on the flipping, stay on the flipping. Of course, I didn't listen. He was right. I could have been, if I would have stayed in the path, I think I would have been, I know for a fact I would have been in a much better financial place today. Right now, I am in a really good opportunity place. And that, to me, looking back, I'm glad I am here, as painful as it was. And I'll give you what that opportunity looks like. But sticking to what I became good at that time. I already knew how to flip. I was able to make really good money. I had already gone through enough variations to know what works, what doesn't work. And if I would have stuck to that, I would have been in really, really good financial place. The problem is I don't let my wife play the lotto. And the reason is because she would take my purpose away. Getting up in the morning, chasing this dream is what gets me out of bed.
Sure.
And if I have something that just say, here's all the money in the world, it takes that from me. So to me, it's not the money, it's the building the thing. So I would say staying focused and doing what you learn and what you already paid your dues was probably one of the biggest experiences from the tech or directional side, at which I should have stayed focused. But now I'm in a position where my experience can actually help a lot of people.
I agree with that.
the core of what I've been able to build painfully, and maybe call it the long way, or the hard way. But I tend to like to do it that way. But I do feel that my learning experiences on the tech that it has been expensive and painful, plus everything that I learned combined, it's essentially the unintended benefits that have from all those things. From a flipping perspective, it's back to that money ball, right? It's not that big property. It's the fast get in, get out as fast as possible. Figure out a template that's going to get you in and out, so you don't have to be going to Home Depot picking stuff. And once you get that pattern, then it's very profitable. It's a very profitable business. Leverage is out there, so there's a lot of good things that can happen, but you just have to make sure that you're not doing 2 steps forward, 1 back. And it's easy to learn. I see a lot of people buying stuff that I just cringe my teeth when I see what they're buying or their perspective, and it just, it's hard to see people make the same mistakes. So that's why a lot of the process that we have, and what we're inviting people to be part of, is what not to do. Follow the process. It's not what you see on TV. I don't call it fun, because there's not something that I would be necessarily proud of. I say in flipping, there's 2 types of properties. There's the trophies, and there's the paychecks.
Yeah.
And the trophies are the ones that I can show you, that, I can show you $4 or $5 million flips that I've done. They're freaking awesome. Ask me how much I made.
Right.
But I could show you a really nice paycheck out of my Barstow property I just closed.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And
you'd look at it and go, okay, that's not exciting. Right. But
exactly.
on base percentage isn't exciting either.
That's right.
Right. Literally. Okay. What's exciting is the Jason Giambis of the world, or the Derek Jeters, or the, Aaron Judges, right? That's what's exciting. The on-base percentage thing is just boring, but it's real. And it's basically what you've created. Not that it's boring. You've created something that's a system that people can follow, and they literally can plug and play. Right.
That's right.
And I'm so unbelievably proud of you in this journey that you've gone through. And I know it's been painful, and I know that it's been, arduous and that kind of thing. Right. But man, I mean, what you've created is incredible. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this thing you've created over the last 14 years, right? That's called Flip IQ. Talk about what it is, and talk about what people can use it for. So
let me give you my why, and I think that's important. And
it is.
One of the things that as you grow up a little bit and you evolve and things like that, you start reading a lot of books. And one of the things that I was trying to look for is my purpose in life, right? And we all somehow have this picture that, you got to be on stage somewhere, or you got to be some type of fix the world in order for you to fulfill that purpose, right? My mother, about 5 years ago, said that she had figured out her purpose in life, and it's to be a peon. And the word peon, you play chess, it's a piece, right? And it's the front piece, and it doesn't necessarily, it's not an exciting piece, but it has a very important role, right? And her explanation was that she's not somebody that is going to come in and become a big influence in people. She's just the person that's able to give a little bit to a lot of people, and that's her purpose. And it made sense. I felt it was downplayed, and I'm thinking, my mom, and I have a great appreciation for her. She's a great person, but you would think that her purpose would be bigger, right?
Right.
For me, chasing my purpose was trying to figure out what's this grandiose idea of what it was going to be. And I realized that we are misled to go find the purpose, but not given the true instructions on how to get there. And what happens is people are asked, what's your purpose in life? But they don't explain to you there's a road that you have to take in order to get there. And whether if you're a religious person or you read books and you're able to get to that understanding, it comes down to one thing. is you have to learn how to serve others before you. And as simple as somebody can sit there and explain and say, yeah, of course, God, the Bible says it, God says it clearly, or read this book, the Third Circle Theory, or whatever you read out there that gives you that explanation of putting others first. It's just so difficult to do because of our human nature, right? And our ability to understand. And there's been a lot of things in my life that have clearly shown me that when I do put others first, as hard as it is, as counterintuitive sometimes it feels, is when you get the biggest rewards, right? And what's interesting is that the first reward you get is not money, it's that satisfaction.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out Calendly.com/Rio760.